and hitting the other buttons that I'm supposed to hit. And we're back.
We did it.
Yay!
We're alive.
We may actually finish this game today.
Probably will. It's a good bet.
We've got 2 chapters.
Yep. And I see all the story stuff, so we're not going to see anything. That's right. She's over there. Yeah.
You're cutting out on me, Serge.
How dare you? Yeah.
I blame Soviet Russia.
I keep playing Russia.
Because why not? Not just any Russia, just Soviet Russia. So I did learn how what it would take to go through and make it so that Ike, or not just Ike, but anybody with the Ike class would get access to Ragnell.
Alright.
Long story short, hexadecimal sucks.
Yeah, it's a lot of math.
And trying to do anything with this game can be a pain in the ass.
And a lot of things in the ass. Wait, special.
The fact somebody was able to pull this off is amazing to me. Also recently watched a video about how Fire Emblem's mechanics actually incentivize you allowing your units to die. Because you'll always have somebody to replace them, most of the time.
I guess.
And instead of like losing a character, or completely restarting over for a single character, the mechanics are built around as long as the Lord character. I mean, it's built around just, you know, a unit just dies, because that's how war is, and
that's how war is.
People
war
just
is
die.
War II.
I should have used hotter water when making this oatmeal. It is already cold.
Oh, okay.
Jeffrey, the strongest assassin.
The assassin that turned the fucking levitating ass motherfucker for the reason.
He can fly, he can fly, he can fly.
Nobody knows how he does it. But he does it. What's up, brother? What a fucking conversation to start. Oh shit.
What does Resolve do?
He gets bonuses if HP is below half.
Oh, neat. At this point, I don't think we need Paragon anymore.
No. Fuck you. Because it's fun. What? This?
It's so funny.
Ever played Astro with Soul? Or the other way around?
I mean, doesn't really matter to me. Astra would do more damage. But then we'd also lose out on Healy stuff, but at that point...
This man.
And it's like, looking at him, I don't think he needs it.
I think Astro probably did better than.
Yeah. Deadeye versus Colossus, which do you think is better?
Probably Deadeye, since the bonus Colossus wouldn't be too much.
Mm-hmm. Imagine if one of the dragons had Colossus.
God. Pretty lame. This is probably around the same information.
It would just be so good. I mean, sure, it would still have to proc. Also, I kind of like this, or at least the ideas around how this skill system works over what the modern skill system is.
Be the class skill.
Well, basically, it's like the skills cost points, and you've only got so many points to spend, versus the you have 5 or 4 skills, and you put whatever there.
However many it is.
Speed, 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 speed.
Yo.
That works too.
Just 1 point. God damn.
It's so silly.
Just notice the red being higher than defense. It's a weird thought on a warrior. It's magic warrior.
You see that mage over there? Watch me murder him.
And you have this man who just captured everything. He's ready to murder. And the attack move is a lot faster than I thought he'd end up being.
Yeah, especially with his...
Everything but luck. Pretty sure she'll have luck at the end of it.
She's just so good.
Weird how good that is. I wonder what happens if we import the save.
Well, it would... Importing the save basically if they're at level cap and their skills are capped. And so...
skills. You said skills.
Oh, did I say skill? They're level cap and the stats are capped.
God, look at this man. He's just wearing dreads. This is before dreads were cool.
Actually, all of those are just giant leeches attached to his skull.
Ah, yes. He's got a torch forehead.
He doesn't have hair, so he attaches leeches instead.
He doesn't have eyebrows either. That's the weird part. I think you're right.
Look, that's the negative side effect of attaching those leeches to his head. They ate his eyebrows. Or he tried going Super Saiyan 3 and only lost the eyebrows.
You made it halfway. So I think this is one of the few times where it's just the dude in the middle, be on the left or right, and like the text box with the game is in the middle. All these animals have murder. I'm sorry. Oh, he's still a hawk though. What is this motherfucker? Look at this shit! Fucking 70 to 40. Look at this man. What's this man doing?
Everything.
Oh, hello.
She is a level 20 Axe Knight.
Oh, she's got blood. Huh.
So, give me a second and I can pull up her... Well, I guess we probably won't use her, though, now that I think about it.
Why not?
We've got one chapter after this.
Yeah, but I could pump her of the 5,000 bonus experience.
Good point.
So it shows up. Well, what's the growth rates?
Anna's growth rates. Her growth rates are 70, 60, 40, 70, 75, 30, 55, 5.
Not bad. Let's change.
What weapon are we going to give her?
Both?
Guess that'd work,
I don't have
probably.
I don't know. I can't think of anything else I really lack. And maybe? Yeah, I'll go with both.
Just pump her full of steroids. Here, eat these. What? Ah!
She just transforms into a dragon while riding a horse.
She transforms into a dragon, and her horse transforms into an even bigger dragon.
I think it's how any of this works.
Also, don't expect her res to go up much more.
Oh, no. Well, everything else going up. Nice.
Yeah, her bases were 12, 15, 11, 6, 11, 12, 4, 11.
Yeah, 'cause she's also a Lagoose.
Mm-hmm.
She's joined at literally the end of the game.
Yep, and she's supposed to be a level 20 Lagoose.
God damn. She's cap strength. Almost 7, mind you. That's 6, I guess. She's also got magic. She can use the bolt act effectively.
This is amazing.
This is hilarious. God damn. I mean, she's already got good enough res anyway at 14.
Oh, right, I forgot. She has Blossom as well, which is why...
Yeah, this is why I said I could just pump her full of levels. Jesus Christ, 20 fucking magic. Isn't that the cap? Non-magic? Yep, it's the cap for non-magic classes.
Oh, man, this
Skill
is...
hit speed cap just now. Yep. What level is she at? Counting. It's 11? Yep.
It's so good!
Yeah, I still have enough to probably just get her if I really wanted.
Do it.
Should I?
I mean, what else are you gonna use it on?
I think really, I haven't been using it at all through this whole game. I used it a bit early on, but just stopped like halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
God.
She's catching up.
I don't have enough to get money, but
Close enough. Enough to make it funny.
maybe 16. I forget how exactly. Let's just. Oh well. With this last level up is like. God damn.
And then just make her a super powerful iron bow.
Yeah, iron.
Well, up the crit.
Only cost 8,000.
Yep. We have so much money that it doesn't matter.
It really does.
Make him a really good silver blade. Or silver sword, at least.
It's only one per chapter.
Oh, right, I forgot.
What is that? Okay, 35 crit, goddamn.
Ooh, we could give the Vegkati to, what's his face? Mr. Crits a lot.
Oh, this man?
Because I think he's the only one that we have that can use it.
Is this sword path only on top of being asked?
I think it is.
Okay.
Oh, I was talking about the Brave Kati. Or the Sulcati, or whatever it's called.
Big Cuddy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that, but which is why I'm giving the break.
Oh, right, yeah. I forgot about that, because S-rank weapons, they're a thing.
Yep.
I guess we have arm scrolls.
I have one more. I need to get the A than B right now.
Just have him lead the forces.
Alright, cool. And okay.
Look at that chin. That triple chin.
Oh, it's that. Okay, I was like, why does he have skill plus 3? And I'm like, oh, it's that thing.
He has a butt chin and a second chin.
Yeah, look at that. Got 5. Just...
They're so weak in comparison.
What bitches? I think I'm just gonna farm wait. Does Ike have to do it?
I believe so.
Yes.
It's kind of weird that he's a crimson color when he's like that. Or is that just the way this chapter is?
I think it's because of the dead. Because I'm sure all the other characters are gonna come like the same red shade of gray. I missed.
That is unfortunate.
To be fair, he has a 70%. He's got 12 skill, but he's also got 30 magic. If he hits you, you're going to die. Yeah, look, reddish. Fast cat.
You know what I think would be really cool for them to do in another Fire Emblem game? Put in an option to change from 3D to 2D, and they do like 2D animation sprites again. They never do that, but I think it would be cool.
I think they should do it closer to how Days of Ruin did.
You cut out me there. What was that?
I think it would be better if they did like Advanced Days of Ruin. And what that did was it had levels of zoom, and while you were zoomed in, units had one look. While you were zoomed out, they had more of a classic like look from the older Advanced games.
Interesting. I just want really cool animations like the Lin crit animation. It's so good. And if you can see it at 60 frames per second, you're like, wow, that's amazing.
Just like the hidden animations in the same game. Now there's animations for Lin using the Rondell, and there's one for Hollywood using the Spokati.
Huh. That's really weird.
They're in the game code, not use.
So if you hacked it somehow to get them to use it.
You'd probably be able to see it. I'm sure somebody has also just stored it and had it, like, you know, shown off for what it was by this point. It's interesting, though.
Part of me thinks it'd be funny, like in canon, if they had something like this going on, where he's like, "Why is there? What is up with that silhouette person? Why is he suddenly a dragon? I have made so many mistakes in life."
They break the fourth wall and see the black shaded Ike. That's... This man just loves activating a death and killing them. He just loves going for a death into a crit.
Look, he has to show off.
Hey. He needs to look cool. If he doesn't, he will. Look at that. That made enough kill. Not
He's
more.
very dead.
I killed you 3 times over. Fuck off. At strength swords. They get shit with it.
It is a very sad day.
Yeah. Well.
Because again, it requires way too much effort to change the things.
Dead. Bye. Oh no, that was the flare. Cool though.
Yeah, I've never seen that animation before. He's just like, "Pow!" And then he's like, "Wah!" And then they exploded.
Be like that. How is this man faster than a hawk? Hawk that slow Mordecai. That was a crit.
I'm just thinking of if a Fire Emblem movie was directed by Michael Bay.
That bird went up to midnight. That was the end of the scene.
It's like, why is there so many explosions? I don't know. We don't even have a mage here. Just everything's exploding. But yeah, I again would reiterate that I would love to see a Fire Emblem anime. Again.
For the fourth.
Or, you know, you just finish the weird original Fire Emblem OVA. Just finish it. Just get to the very end of that storyline. And then let us decide whether or not that was as much of a mistake as we believe it would be.
What the fuck?
What?
Look at that void. What the fuck?
You can't hit me.
Why is that so-
Can't touch this.
Why is that so high?
What are her stats again?
Still, like, it's whatever. Half double speed or half speed? That.
She's probably near somebody, or she's in with enough squares of Ike and Jill. Probably.
Jill's back here.
Maybe Ike then. So getting a plus 15 from that.
Boy. Still like 80 avoid? That feels like a lot. This man has 80 avoid. He's not a truck. It's 5 speed lower. Oh god. 35 from being in the bush. And slightly near Oscar.
Why aren't you able to find the internet computer?
Aren't able to find the computer internet.
Exactly. There we go. It has been fixed. Path of Radiance. Attack speed times 2, plus luck, plus terrain bonus, plus support bonus, plus biorhythm bonus.
I guess I was I that turn? Oh hello. Who's this man?
I turn into Ike Silhouette.
Oh, they're off the map. Okay. Well, like, I don't have to worry about the shit.
So what is her biorhythm at?
It was high last time, but who knows where it's now. Bye.
I was thinking of something to do in another run. Not for this game, but for one of the GBA games. Where every time you level, your stats decrease. Can't remember what it is.
What?
I'm trying to remember the name of the challenge run. Where every time you level up a character, it decreases their stats.
How does that work?
I don't know. seen it before, but I can't find it. I can't remember the name of it. But that'd be kind of an interesting thing to try.
The only thing I can think of is growths, and that's just you don't get any stat growths to level up. Got a brave swing. Not worth my time. Still not worth this time.
Ah, that's what it was. It's negative growths. And it's a mod for Fire Emblem 7.
Alright.
Where you do your best to not kill as many, or kill as little as you can. And you replace your units as soon as you possibly can, because they become irrelevant.
He ran up again.
I can run on the air! They call me an airbender.
Don't think how that works.
They call me Indiana Jones.
Still not quite.
I don't know why they call me Indiana Jones, but they do.
What is Indiana? What is this with Jones?
I'm from the state of Jones, and they named me Indiana.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Went head first. Stupid. You never go head first. Stupid.
Like Doofenshmirtz. Not even my parents showed up, or my parents didn't show up even for my. I can say words maybe today.
No, you can't at all ever.
I think not all suck. That shot.
Can't even say them in the wrong language either.
Good old Phineas and Ferb. I still haven't actually watched it. Any of it. Not even a single episode.
A lot of good stuff in there.
I have watched clips from it, but I have never finished an entire episode.
Why not?
Because I have company to.
Today. There's 104 days of summer vacation. Sounds long just ended.
Because I grew up watching Recess.
Yep.
Good stuff
I
there.
watched two, but it's not like it's not exclusive. Like you can't watch one without the other.
I mean, you can. I watched Recess because I only had access to standard television growing up. And if I remember correctly, Phineas and Ferb was only on Disney Channel stuff. I think it was Disney.
Yeah, Disney and Ferb. Did it start airing like 6 years ago? 5, 6 years ago? Good one. Maybe
2015, final episode aired.
Okay, so yeah, probably around like 2015 it started.
07 is when it started.
You really started that early?
Yep.
Damn.
There are 222 episodes.
I didn't realize it went on for that long. Maybe I'm thinking of Gravity Falls.
You're probably thinking of Gravity Falls. I have at least watched an entire episode of Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls.
I just have a hard time watching things anymore. I sit down and I don't want to spend the effort doing this.
Yeah, but you want to sit fucking shit tons of bad manga.
That's different. I'm actively reading that.
It's different.
Only
sure?
a little bit. I have a problem that I can't control. I must read.
Or you have a problem. You can't speak either.
I must read
Read what?
all of the things. I read
This is the
everything.
worst manga you've come across in the past months.
I mean, the one that comes to mind, it was a Japanese isekai where, well, I mean, again, this is also stating that Chinese wuxia manga doesn't count because all of them are just awful.
Sure.
And not even awful in
Well,
a good way. It's just they are poorly written, poorly paced, they are bad most of the time. But then again, so are the stories that they come from because I read a lot of. Used to read a lot of the web novels because I had too much free time on my hands, and by that I mean I wasn't doing my homework because who wants to do homework? But anywho, on back to this. So not counting Chinese wuxia comics. Wuxia, however you want to. WUXIA. However you English pronounce that, I don't know.
If you want, like, pretty sure that's proper Chinese.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Chinese.
One of the many Chinese.
You got Mandarin and Cantonese, as far as I'm. At least those are the two major ones that people deal with.
Yeah.
But the one I was, the most recent, like, just kind of dumb one that I've come across was, I level up by eating. And premise of the story is the main character dies on Earth in Japan and gets isekai'd to a world with a goddess, or a world with multiple gods, but he gets stuck with this goddess who gives him one power, and he's like, well, if you become my believer, I'll give you this great power. Finds out that it was a trap, and that she has, after he becomes his believer, her believer, one follower total.
Alright.
But he gains the ability to level, like, everything in this world has RPG stat things, and he gains the ability to level up really quickly and gain abilities and crap like that just from eating stuff.
Okay.
And that's the whole premise of this thing. And then it turns into a generic isekai harem wish fulfillment fantasy.
Okay.
There are a lot of bad isekai. I only read 2 chapters of that. There were 6 there.
It's almost as if it's like a popular genre at the moment. Nobody gives a shit what crap they throw into the fire that it's currently making.
Let's see, there was another. There's a manga that I come across a little while ago that just the premise. I mean, it's dumb, but in a, like, that is hilariously dumb way. It is a.
It is bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically. It is what many would describe as a manga of culture. It is not quite hentai. But it is pretty damn close.
I was gonna say, what does that mean? Does it, like, skirt hentai, or does it, like, actually just hentai but without the actual, like, penises and everything?
Let me get to the premise of this. So the main character, whose name I can't remember for the life of me, becomes a high school teacher. The high school teacher that he is in, or the high school that he goes to teach.
That he is in.
Yes, I can speak. No, maybe I can say maybe words.
He's
Probably.
Shrunk down. He's now inside a high school.
I am not. Yes.
Oh,
Premise of it is he goes to become a teacher at this high school. This high school has a population of nothing but Gyaru delinquent female students, effectively. To get an idea of what a Gyaru is, I don't feel like explaining it, so figure it out yourself.
I talk to you.
But long story short, all of them are like, we're gonna think it's really funny if we can make him a hard in middle of class and then try to have sex with him, because that's their whole thing.
What?
Yep, that is the premise of this manga. And he's just like,
the premise.
That is the whole premise of the manga.
I'm trying to fuck with him.
Yes, in both sense, like screwing with him as well as screwing.
Literally and actually trying to fuck him.
Yep, that is the premise of that. It is. It's dumb.
Oh no, hurt.
Yeah. Let's see. There was another. I reincarnated with a smartphone. That one's just dumb. There's literally nothing. He reincarnates into a fantasy world, and there is absolutely nothing challenging him from the moment he starts the story to the moment the story ends. If it ever ends, I don't know. All I know is that the anime was bad, and the manga was bad. Yes, there was an anime to it. That season, there was a lot of bad isekai anime. There were like 5 or 6 isekai anime that season. And all but like 2 of them were awful. Okay, maybe there wasn't that many, but it certainly felt like it because of how many bad ones there were. But yeah, premise of it is the main character gets reincarnated by God. God gives him a smartphone and then lots of superpowers, effectively. He's like, oh, I can use all the magic, and I can do this, and I can just create my own magic, and I can
what?
Yep, he can create his own magic, and then he MacGuffins his way through every single scenario. He's like, oh, there's something bad's happening. Well, my magic basically because I have magic, I can MacGuffin my way out of this problem instantly the moment it crops up. And now I've got 80 bajillion women just at my feet, begging for me. And then I become super rich, because my MacGuffin magic made me super rich, because MacGuffin.
Alright.
Yeah, it's bad. Let's see, what other trash things have I read recently? I have actually found that I've been enjoying the shoujo isekai genres a little bit more than I thought I would. Let's see if I can find something with a ridiculously long name. Haven't read this one yet, but it's I was fired from a court wizard, so now I'm becoming a rural magical teacher.
What? I heard you, it's just confusing.
That one's Chinese, so that one I can't put into my list of just bad things that I've read recently. I mean, it's still bad, but...
I just love secrets. Just actively going through a list of saying shit.
Oh, can't remember the name of it, but it's also pretty bad.
All right.
But I mean, kind of, it's like, it's in the middle. It's like, it's dumb, and because of how dumb it is, it's kind of enjoyable to read. Premise of it is the main character reincarnates, and the only reason why he's able to get stronger and get better allies is because he has a gacha system, and he just and the way for it, and the only way for him to get points to put into the gacha system is by heavily grinding inside dungeons, and his companions that he gets through the gacha system hate him for it. It's just
hate him for grinding, or just like,
well, because of how excessive. It was like, oh, it's not too bad if we do this 1 or 2 times. We're doing it 300 times. What? What? What?
Okay. Good.
Let's see. What is another?
He just got stuck in a gacha game, essentially.
Yeah, basically. But he's the only one with the gacha system.
What does that entail? Like, in other words, he's the main character of gacha. He's the guy who has the smartphone.
Basically, he's the one guy who has the gacha system. He is the main protagonist. I reincarnated as a onsen, which is a hot spring. That one's
What are they doing? Do they have nothing better?
You know, that one at least makes more sense than I reincarnated as a vending machine.
I guess. Does it though?
The hot spring at least makes sense from a Japanese perspective, because doing so means easy, accessible fan service.
I guess.
Dead. Very dead.
Yep. On top of that.
Oh, this one's also pretty bad. And then, like, awful bad. The middle-aged man who just returned from another world melts his father-con daughter's heart with his paternal skills. The description. The strongest hero in history, Nakamoto Keisuke. Keisuke. I don't know. Keisuke. Except that is Keisuke. Something like that. He was summoned to another world in the spring at the age of 15 years old. And after defeating the Demon Lord, he was 32 years old. And then he was returned to Earth. As a 32-year-old. He couldn't find a decent job and had to do nothing but spend his time working part-time. And then, suddenly, a beautiful girl proclaiming...
Like a real life thing? Confused. What?
It's Japan. Sometimes we most of the time just stop questioning it.
You sure?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure just a small part of Japan that actually is weird.
Okay, this is Japan manga land. We stop questioning it.
I guess.
I mean, Japan's also the country that created tentacle porn. So, I mean, not entirely their fault, but
that's also because of us in the States.
Yeah. But anywho,
that's
before Nakamoto, a beautiful girl who self-proclaimed had come to return the favor, appeared. I am the reward for the hero who defeated the Demon King, said Angelica, a girl who came from another world that persistently tempted Nakamoto to make her his wife. Instead, he's like, how about you be my daughter first?
Sure.
And then you're just like, why?
That's...
Together with a high school girl who looks a lot like his hot girlfriend who died while he was fighting the Demon King. Nakamoto, using his cheat skills, creates a harem life. It's awful. It is really bad. I've read the light novel for this. And I've read the manga. The light novel is not nearly as awful. Question mark?
You dick. Attacking me from over there. What's wrong with you? Oh, he's in reads.
This one looks funny. I better bookmark it.
You're just actively proud now.
Well, I'm trying to find all the trash ones. Damn it. I'll come back later. There's no a chapter updated, but because of the new site thing, and people have been trolling.
Oh my god.
That is so cool.
What was that?
Colossal? Or Colossus, maybe?
He doesn't have that.
Well, I mean,
Does
that's probably the animation for it. What is he?
Yeah. I'll find out in a moment. What was that? Is that like retaliation for that?
I guess? Counter, maybe?
No, it was counter-activated earlier and there was like a green flash after the full hit me. You want to explain to me how that's sports basis?
Yes. 11. Is that a good explanation?
No, it's not. Not at all.
Oh, unfortunate. That one's Chinese, that one's Chinese.
Eating out all the bad ones.
That one's pretty funny. That one's pretty good. Garbage. It's kind of dumb. It's fun, but it's dumb. Premise of this one, it's called Come Together, Seton Academy. Premise of this story, furries are a thing. Seton Academy,
What?
a school full of animals where, thanks to population decline, there are fewer humans than other creatures. And because of that, all of the animals, except for the male versions of them, have become anime anthropomorphized animal things. And all of the male versions are basically just bipedal versions of normal animals. It's kind of weird. It's fun, but it's kind of weird.
So, like, Mordecai and Leith kind of bipedal, or like full on, they have full face kind of thing?
Yes.
Is it both?
So like the women, the females of the race look like Mordecai and Leith do when they're in their human-esque form.
Oh, okay.
Whereas
More like hairballs, like media and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, kind of.
Where they're just pictured up animal face and body for the most part.
Yeah, basically. Oh, and all of the teachers are dinosaurs.
Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, do I go for it? Of course I do. 46 chance to hit, that's a 100 for me. Oh, not.
I can't tell whether or not this one was any good because I didn't read much of it. I just kind of got bored of the premise. It's called Necromance.
Is it dead body?
As a necromancy. But basically the premise of the story is the hero kills the Demon Lord, and the Demon Lord in his last dying breath, also kills the hero, but then curses him. And as they try to resurrect him, he resurrects as an undead instead. Rather than, not being undead. But because of that, his hot girlfriend that he's trying to get married to, who is a priest, because of how much holy power she has, any sort of physical contact that they have almost murders him. I basically, it's like, it was funny for a little bit, and then I read 2 or 3 chapters of it, and then I was like, this isn't for me.
Just doesn't need to hit twice, he just kills him with one hit. It's the whole, like, thing of, I have holy magic, I kill you a lot faster.
Yep.
Get on your throat. Eat spear. This is just you talking about manga.
I mean, I can talk about manga for days.
Sure you can, I have no doubt.
One that I just didn't really seem to work properly. The premise was kind of dumb. The student council president solves everything on the bed, which makes you think it's about sex or something along those lines. But in reality, it's about fan service and the fact that the student council president has some sort of like sickness or disease or something like that. That actually leaves her bedridden, and so she resolves all of the problems going on in school from her bed.
Okay, literal thing other than like.
Well, they're going for the double entendre of it's both literal and makes you think that it's the sex. I think that's a double entendre, but I don't know how to do the thing. That one's Chinese, so that one was actually kind of decent.
One was Chinese. It was okay.
Well, it's decent for now. I don't know if it's going to be able to keep it up.
Worse later.
That's kind of how a lot of the things was like. The opening, like, first 30 chapters are generally decent, other than the fact that they're like 6 pages long. And so nothing actually happens in 30 pages.
And he walked all the way around just to fucking hit her.
You mean to miss?
Not that he can hit her. Yeah, not that he can hit her, but you know.
Second Coming of Gluttony is pretty good. Didn't really like the manga version of it, but the light novel's pretty good. One Punch Man is amazing.
Yeah.
This one's just kind of dumb. It's called Let's Manage the Tower. Main character conquers a tower dungeon sort of thing, and then becomes the dungeon master person of it, and then gets super cheat powers and hot anime waifus full of culture.
This guy went after Leith with 11 minutes to hit. His hit is 120 and her avoid is 109.
Mistakes were made.
The worst kind of mistake to make.
I don't know what this is, but for some reason, just because of its title, I think it's Chinese.
Why do you think it's Chinese? Because I don't.
My fiance is in love with my little sister.
What a fucking name, ain't it?
Oh, hey, look at that! It's Japanese.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds sort of Japanese then.
Well, then again, I have been, because of how much just stupid titles that I'm exposed to by the amount of light novels and web novels and crap that I read. there's a lot of really dumb ones from China, and most of them end up being some weird gay yaoi porn fever dream. And I'm like, why? Why is this here? Why does anybody want to read this?
Poor beard. You should know that now.
The writing isn't even that good.
I already know that people are weird.
And the internet is a strange place.
Yeah, full of strange people.
This is a funny one. The female hero in the Shota orc. Premise of the story is the daily adventures of the female hero and an orc Shota.
It's just like 13-year-old orc.
The running gag is, even though the female hero's thoughts were completely different, the perspective of insert relevant thing here had a feeling that it's Onesan X Shota.
What?
Or basically, is like the pairing is like, or basically it's cross, but so basically everybody, all of the situations come down to she does something, and from an outside perspective, it sounds like she is hitting on the small orc child really hard. Which is funny, because at the very beginning, she's talking about how she wants, she's like, I am single and alone, and at this point, I just kind of want an orc to ravage me. But all of the orcs are like, what? And then she meets this little kid, and he just follows him. I don't exactly remember because it's been a while since I've read it, but it was funny. It was good fun. The internet is a strange place.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of weird things out there.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Just
there
is.
Oh, this one's kind of dumb too. The strongest cursed clan reincarnation, a magic user's utopia. Main character gets hit by a car, gets born in another world, and has the ability to control magic wooden puppets. Because of how amazing he is with his super magic powers, his parents try to get him to marry his younger sister. Because apparently that's how they make the magic stronger, is by inbreeding. Because apparently in this world, inbreeding doesn't cause problems as much. Probably.
It has for sense.